Hello, Coach. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to start by asking you to give a brief opening remark about playing in this year's CFP quarterfinal at the Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential against the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, 2 days into our prep, obviously need to have a great 2 weeks of preparation, against a great Alabama football team. And, team's excited about it, but, focused on the process. Got lot of respect for Alabama. Coach DeBoer, been following his career for a long time. He kind of started out a lower level like I did. And ever since he went to Washington, really kind of studied his offense and I think he's a great coach.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the floor for questions. Please raise your hand to ask a question using the raise hand icon within Zoom. If and when your question is selected, please unmute your microphone and state your name and media outlet before asking your question. Once your question has been answered, your microphone will be muted and your hand will be lowered. Our first question comes from Jeff Rabjohns.
Good afternoon, Coach. Appreciate your time. Working on a story about your receiving core, particularly Surratt and Cooper, and just what has made them elite receivers. Just like to get your thoughts from the head coach's chair. Why are they so good? And what is the best trait for each one of them, if it's similar or different?
Yeah, well, Surratt and Cooper have both been starters for 2 years. Now, when you look at the core, you got to include E.J. Williams and Charlie Becker in that group as well, who have made a lot of big plays for us this season. Becker, particularly, the last 4 games. But Surratt is a guy that just loves football. He's a football guy. He's got great hands. He's really good at contested catches. He's an extremely intelligent football player. He's got good size, and he made a lot of big plays for us. Started out at the Division I AA or FCS level, and then joined us at JMU, and then came with us to Indiana. Omar Cooper, is from Indianapolis. Was on the team in 23 and played a role in 23 the year before I came, and made big plays for us in 24 and has elevated his game in 25. And he's an explosive guy. He's really good after the catch and, just has a lot of potential and ability and has become more consistent. Still has more consistency, steps inconsistency he can take, but I've seen him really progress and evolve.
Thanks, Coach.
Our next question comes from Mike Niziolik.
Yeah, Curt, I think on your last Zoom with us, you mentioned getting through all the retention discussions kind of the week before you guys jumped into prep. How important was it to kind of get through all of those the way the calendar is structured right now? And did that give you kind of a clear picture and what you need to know kind of as things open up again right after this game is done too?
Yeah, it's critical, and it certainly did clear the picture up quite a bit because the emphasis before we knew who the opponent would be was on the 27 team and retention and needs. And we got a few practices in as well to stay sharp, and got refreshed and got in the weight room. But we're probably 95% through, what I would call the key guys, sort of the guys everybody knows. And so we're almost home, in that front.
Our next question comes from Max Cohen.
Hey, Coach, you spent several seasons in Tuscaloosa before becoming a head coach. I'm wondering what your memories are of your time with Alabama and what the program means to you.
Yeah, we had a great experience at Alabama. It was a real important part of my journey. Learned a lot from Coach Saban in terms of organization, standards, stock and complacency. I wouldn't be where I am today without my time under Nick. My family really enjoyed Tuscaloosa. We had great years there. Of course, we took over a team. We were 7-6 our first year, and 12-0 the next year in regular season. Fell short in the SEC game to Tebow and Florida and Urban, and then had a rematch the next year and beat them, and won the national championship out at the Rose Bowl. So we had 4 really good years there, and then began another part of our life.
Our next question comes from Jordan Mendoza.
Hey, Coach, Jordan Mendoza with USA Today Sports. I know last season there was a lot of talk about the layoff for the teams that get the first round bye. I'm curious for you, have you enjoyed kind of just having that kind of more time to kind of prepare and get the team healthy, or would you have preferred to maybe get this game played a little sooner than when you guys play the Big Ten title game?
Well, it is what it is, so you make the most of it. And the way we approached it until we knew the opponent, we treated it like 2 bye weeks. And now we have almost 2 weeks to prepare for the opponent. So, would I prefer to play earlier? Yeah, I probably would, to be quite honest with you. But that's not the case. So, we're excited about playing. We're off to a good start, and it'll be a tremendous challenge.
Our next question comes from Zach Osterman. Okay, I think Zach's question's down. Our next question will come from Zach Browning.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, last time you talked to us, you brought up the fact that Stephen Daly out for likely the rest of the season. What does the process look like for trying to find the next avenue to replace that production, and kind of what does that process look like over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, Brian Haynes does a great job coordinating our defense. We have a lot of confidence in our players, and we'll find the best solution, and that gives us the best chance to be successful.
Now going back to Zachary Osterman with a question.
Sorry about that, Curt. I think I didn't get to the unmute button quite as quick as I needed to. That's my bad. I wanted to circle back to your time at Alabama, and I'm sure we've asked you about this in some shape or form, but that was your last stop, obviously, before you started your career as a head coach. And I'm just curious, whether it's since you knew Alabama was your opponent or just at various different times, have you reflected on the pieces of kind of what you call the blueprint that you might have taken from your time at Alabama, whether it's the way you build a roster, whether it's the way you sort of maintain a staff, a locker room? Are there things that are kind of in that blueprint for you that you can say that was something that really formed in my mind when I was at Alabama?
I probably think about it every single day, to be quite honest with you, because it had such an impact in my growth and development. And I think philosophically, the program that we run here is probably a lot more the same than different than Alabama. So there's probably not a day that goes by where I don't draw from those experiences.
Our next question comes from Jim Coyle.
Curt, obviously, you probably at least watched some of Alabama and the Oklahoma game. What was it about their team that you saw that you took away? Obviously, probably didn't pay any attention to them during the regular season. Now, obviously, a big reason for that. What about their team has caught your attention and something you have to plan for most of all, you think?
Well, I actually did get to watch some of them early in the year because we had a couple bye weeks, and I'm a film junkie, and I've always enjoyed studying Coach DeBoer's offenses from the time he was at Washington. So, I got to watch their first Georgia game and some of their other things. They do a lot of really great stuff. In terms of the Oklahoma game, that was a tremendous comeback on the road in a hostile environment to come back from 17 points down and come out with a win. And I think it tells you a lot about the character of their football team. They got a lot of great players that are extremely well coached. And so, they're a really good team. It'll be a tremendous challenge.
Our next question comes from Daniel Flick.
Yeah, with Haynes and Mike, just what kind of went into locking them up in this time period, and just how did you kind of approach them, and how their whole process unfold there?
Well, yeah, both those guys have been with me a long time. They both do a great job. Bryant, had some calls, had some people very seriously interested in him. We thought it was important to be proactive. We also wanted to lock Mike up, who's very deserving. And I'm glad we did. And, at the end of the season, we'll move on to the rest of the staff.
Our next question comes from Joseph Goodman.
Curt, hi. Joe Goodman here in Alabama. I was curious, how instrumental were you in recruiting Julio?
I mean, I think I played a role, but I think the most important guy when I was there in terms of the recruiting process was Coach Saban, who's a tremendous recruiter. Lance Thompson was the lead recruiter, who was a great recruiter as well. Major Applewhite was involved also because he was the offensive coordinator, and not myself because I was a position coach. So, it was a team effort, but if I had to rank the importance, it would have been Coach Saban and Lance Thompson.
What did you take away from, what did, I guess, Nick say to you, or what was the conversation like when you told him you were going to go to IUP?
Yeah, he had some questions about whether that would be a very good move for me. I was just ready to kind of run my own show. I'd been an assistant coach. I was hitting 50. And really, I started my full-time coaching career at age 23 at Rice University when they were in the Southwest Conference. So I'd been doing it 28 years. And I was just ready for something different. And I respected his opinion, but I decided to make the move. I can't say there weren't many mornings early on where I wondered what I did because it was such a tremendous radical change. But at the end of the day, it prepared me for where I am today.
Thanks, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Pete DePremio.
Yeah, hey Curt, I'm working on a story on Riley Nowakowski. Just can you talk about his development both as a runner, a blocker, and a receiver?
Yeah, well, the first thing I'd tell you about him is he's a great person. Uh, he's a great worker. He's always up. He's intelligent. He's one of the team leaders, without a doubt. Um, he's very consistent day in, day out. You know what you're getting. He's a better athlete than a lot of people realize. He went to Wisconsin as a walk-on fullback, was a wrestler in high school as well. And when they made a coaching change and quit using the fullback, they moved him to tight end. And he's made some really big plays for us in the pass game in terms of taking short routes and extending those breaking tackles and making them big explosive plays. Obviously, he made a real nice down the field catch against Penn State in the 2-minute drive. And he gives it everything he's got. And he's not your prototypical 6'6", 260-pound tight end, but darn, I'm sure glad we got him.
Just a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, please use the raise hand icon within Zoom. Our next question comes from Mike Schumann.
Yeah, hey coach, I wanted to ask you, you guys are dealing with the January 1st game and then the portal opens on January 2nd. What can you say about like how you're going about handling those dual tracks? And do you think there's a better way for this calendar to be set up?
Well, I definitely think the calendar could be improved, and that would be unanimous, amongst the coaches. And whether whether you got to move the start of the regular season up a week and then start playing in the playoffs, when the season ends. So there's, a little bit better time to devote to high school recruiting and portal recruiting. We're all looking, I think, for that solution. And, what you're dealing with in college football is just you don't have one guy in charge. If you had one person calling the shots, I think it would be a lot cleaner. So hopefully we'll make some progress in that regard.
Our next question comes from Kyle Babcock.
Coach, thank you for doing this for us. You're playing in the Rose Bowl. What does this mean to the fans, to your team, to be on this big stage with Indiana at this time of the year?
Yeah, the Rose Bowl's got a lot of great tradition. A lot of great players and teams have competed in that game. We went to the playoffs last season, fell short, weren't happy with the way we played. So we definitely want to improve upon that. Playing a great opponent that has a history of tremendous success. And the Rose Bowl is a great venue to play that game at. We played out there against UCLA last year, so we've been there once before. And it'll be a tremendous environment.
If there's any other questions, please raise your hand within the Zoom app. Seth Toe is the next question.
Hey, Curt. Lewis Moore dealt with his whole eligibility situation early in the year and all of those questions with that for really like the first month or so of the year. And then he went on to, have an All-American season. What's allowed him to thrive this year, and how big has his presence been in the secondary for you?
Yeah, I'm really happy for Lewis. Like you said, he had overcome some obstacles to get to where he is today. Actually, was a starter on the team the year before I came. Went in the portal when I was hired. Went to Ole Miss, and then saw what we were doing here and returned for this season. He had that NCAA thing hanging over his head. You know, during fall camp in the first 3 or 4 games of the season. So I'm sure that was a distraction. Once he got that behind him, boy, he really came on, and he's got great ball skills and football instincts, and he's been a huge part of our defensive success.
Our final question will come from Zach Osterman.
Yeah, Curt, I want to follow up. We asked you about sort of just how to adjust after Stephen Daly, and I guess the question was more philosophical. When you have a layoff like this, do you consider, is it a next man up situation? Do you consider maybe moving some pieces around? Like you've got a player like Mario Landino who's played some edge before. Do you consider, maybe shifting some things schematically because you're going to have a little bit more time to work on stuff? When you have someone you rely on that much that may not be available, just kind of how do you approach with more time to prepare the solutions for sort of filling that gap?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's a little bit of all. And then, I guess we'll see on when we play the game what we decide to do, right?
Well, with that, thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time today. That will conclude today's teleconference. A big thank you to both Coach DeBoer and Coach Cignetti for their time today. We'd also like to thank the media members for calling in. And lastly, we'd like to remind everyone that a transcript and audio and video from today's call will be available on the CFP media portal later today. Thanks again, Coach.
Thank you.